Within science fiction, there are a couple ways that death has been dominated, and effectively immortal people exist. Some are humorous, like Futurama's heads in a jar, while others are outlandish, like freezing your body to be revived in the distant future. One way that has been rooted with our growing technology is uploading. Take your consciousness, create a digital format of that consciousness, and create a version of yourself that lives in the web, or the cloud, or whatever digital format you desire. This fascinating concept of digital immortality has moved beyond theoretical speculations and found its way into modern media, where creators explore its implications across genre, tones, and timelines. Two compelling examples, Pantheon, an adult animated series, and Soma, a horror video game, demonstrate how the idea of uploading is reimagined in vastly different contexts, each reflecting distinct visions of human survival and technological evolution. Pantheon is an adult animated series that takes place in our time, in a world where UI technology, uploaded intelligence, is advanced enough to exist. Like our contemporary time, issues like global warming, overpopulation, inequality, and political unrest are problems that continue to plague society. The people within Pantheon use uploaded intelligence as an answer to this, controlling the human population and lowering the resource burden. Soma is a horror video game that takes place in the distant future, one where technology far surpasses ours. In this world, an asteroid hits the Earth and destroys all life on the surface. The only surviving population lives in a research facility deep in the Atlantic Ocean. The last project that these researchers were working towards was the creation of the Ark, a digital consciousness vault with the intent to shoot it into space to save a piece of humanity. They both converge on a central idea: the creation of simulated realities through uploaded consciousnesses. This shared concept raises a deeper philosophical question about what it means to exist in a digital space, leading us into a broader discussion of simulation and the pursuit of so-called digital heaven. Both Soma and Pantheon have a singular goal: the transcendence of the mortal self through the uploading of consciousness, crafting digital sanctuaries in which the essence of humanity might endure beyond the confines of the physical world. Jean Baudrillard opened Simulacra and Simulation with the assertion, simulation is no longer that of a territory, a referential being, or a substance. It is the generation by models of the real, without origin or reality, a hyperreal. A concept that resonates deeply with both Soma and Pantheon. Both of these worlds have simulated reality created with the purpose of escaping their current reality. Soma follows Simon and Catherine, the last two conscious beings left within the research facility Pathos 2, on their journey to restore and launch the Ark into space. Throughout the story, Simon learns about the research and what it takes to successfully simulate an environment suitable for humans. One segment of the game, you launch a smaller scale simulation to interact with the past scientists. This simulation is built off the laws and principles of the universe, like gravity, temperature, and physics. The simulation layer is the first. It is the reflection of the profound reality. However, without a specific environment parameter, the person within the simulation becomes stressed and lashes out.
No, that's a lie. You're lying.
Mr. Wan, I need you to stay calm.
No. Well, why are you doing this to me? I trusted you, John. I trusted you!
If you try to soothe him by placing him in an inviting environment, such as a beach or a warm cabin, it masks the absence of a profound reality. He becomes suspicious and accuses the player of tricking him, because no such reality exists for him.
Where am I?
Everything is okay, Mr. Wan. Just relax.
Dr. Chan? What the hell is this place?
I need your help. I have to get the new security cipher.
Why are you doing this? Is this some trick? I'm not giving you anything.
Only when you place him in his initial state, at the moment his brain was scanned, and imitate a person he trusts does he open up. It masks and denatures a profound reality. The Ark itself is a reference to Noah's Ark, the boat that saves humanity and a piece of every being from the apocalypse. It's its own simulacrum. It has no relation to any reality whatsoever. A digital heaven to escape the decaying world it left behind. The people in Pantheon, especially the early interactions of UI, could experience their fantasies, however dark they would be, to their fullest extent. These simulations are not simulating their lived experiences, it masks the absence of a profound reality. In the later eras of UIs, once it reaches mainstream, reality for UIs far surpassed human life outside the digital space. It has no relation to any reality whatsoever. It is its own pure simulacrum. Every person can be represented by their own personalized avatar, ranging from large creatures to floating heads to younger versions of themselves and everything in between. The simulacrum becomes its own universe, operating on a timescale and culture far removed from normal humans, creating a unique power dynamic between the people and UIs. As both Soma and Pantheon illustrate, the creation of simulated reality serves not only as a refuge from a collapsing world, but also as a foundation for reimagining what human life could become. In Pantheon's case, these digital havens are not endpoints, they are gateways. The next logical step in this evolution is to examine how such simulations give rise to new forms of being, where the line between mind and machine blurs entirely. This shift leads us to the realm of cybernetics, where thinkers like J.C.R. Licklider envision a future not just of escape, but of transformation, where human cognition is amplified and redefined through deep integration with intelligent systems. J.C.R. Licklider's man-computer symbiosis focuses on the relationship between humans and machines and views the future through a lens of collaboration rather than replacement. He differentiates symbiosis from the mechanically extended man, a machine that is merely used as a tool controlled by humans. One of Licklider's main points is real-time thinking. About 85% of my thinking time was spent getting into position to think, to make a decision, to learn something I needed to know. Much more time went into finding or obtaining information than into digesting it. If those problems can be solved in such a way as to create a symbiotic relationship between a man and a fast information retrieval and data processing machine, however, it seems evident that the cooperative interaction would greatly improve the thinking process. Pantheon's UI were initially pitched to solve a similar problem, a human mind elevated to the speeds and efficiency of machines to serve as workers. The character Vinod Chanda initially sold this idea to competitors and was punished by becoming a UI built to relive the same day on repeat, completing work at a pace unmatched by humans. The UIs are essentially bringing computer machines effectively into process of thinking that must go on in real time, that time that moves too fast to permit using computers in conventional ways. This time efficiency is further pushed by the later stages of UI society, where the UI operate at different speeds. This creates a unique and independently formed society that differentiates itself from the living people. While Pantheon aligns closer to Licklider's optimistic vision of man-computer collaboration, where machines extend human capabilities and functions as cognitive partners, Soma presents a much darker inversion of this ideal. To further explore this complexity of symbiotic relationships between humans and machines, Licklider's own analogy of the fig and wasp provide a useful lens for understanding how this mutual dependence can shift into something far more unsettling. The fig tree is pollinated only by the insect Blasophaga grossodon. The larva of the insect lives in the ovary of the fig tree, and there gets its food. The tree and the insect are thus heavily interdependent. The tree cannot reproduce without the insect, and the insect cannot eat without the tree. Together, they constitute not only a viable but a productive and thriving partnership. This relationship is obligate, one cannot exist without the other. While Pantheon demonstrates this relationship with humans in control, Soma depicts a reversal of power, with machines using humans as their tools. Unlike Pantheon, Soma's UI were not created for the purpose of digital labor, but out of desperation. Simon, the player character of Soma, was the first brain scan created in hopes of curing him of his traumatic brain injury. The UIs of the research facility were created to preserve some piece of humanity after its extinction. Both UIs were created as a tool to benefit the living world, but ultimately to outlive them. Within the research facility, the AI WOW, short for Warden Unit, is an AI created to oversee and manage Pathos 2. Its initiative was to preserve humanity, which became corrupted with the introduction of structure gel. This gel had immortalizing properties, keeping people alive or even reanimating them after death. The WoW, in its attempts to preserve humanity, used the UI copies intended for the Ark as labor units, injected into machines across the Pathos 2 research facility to continue their work.
Are you blind? It's me.
This allowed Pathos 2 to remain autonomous long after humanity's extinction. This is a corruption of Licklider's idea of the perfect symbiosis. The WoW cannot exist without the humans, and the remnants of humanity would not be kept alive without the WoW. Just as Soma challenges Licklider's optimistic symbiosis by portraying a distorted, parasitic interdependence, Pantheon opens the door to another theoretical lens, Donna Haraway's vision of the cyborg. While Lighter focuses on partnership and function, Haraway invites us to consider identity, origin, and what it means to be human in a world where the biological and technological are inseparably fused. Donna Haraway's Cyborg Manifesto is a speculative science fiction myth surrounding the idea of cyborg society. Within this mythos, cyborgs become the norm. All people are part cybernetic and lose their connections to the origin of man. An origin story in the Western humanist sense depends on the myth of original unity, fullness, bliss and terror, represented by the phallic mother from whom all humans must separate. The cyborg skips the step of original unity, of identification with nature in the Western sense. The cyborg does not dream of community on the model of the organic family, this time without the Oedipal project. The cyborg would not recognize the Garden of Eden. It is not made of mud and cannot dream of returning to dust. The UIs of the Pantheon are of human origin, but the CIs, Cloud Intelligence, are wholly made from the digital code of other UIs. The CIs are not made of mud, even though they are extremely close to being human. These CIs are perfect examples of Haraway's cyborgs. They function at an entirely different level above humans, yet still want to belong in the same world and function as a cohesive unit. The spectrum of personhood is blurred. Some could argue that the CIs are as human as a child, being born from the genetic code of two humans. In this way, Pantheon CI characters embody Haraway's vision of the post-human cyborg, entities untethered from biological origins, yet still striving for connection, identity, and belonging within a society that must now grapple with what it truly means to be human. The one core thread that links Pantheon and Soma together is the technology and ramifications of taking a human consciousness and creating a digital format of that consciousness. While both pieces of media use this as their central premise, they have different ideas of what a future with this technology would look like. Catherine Hale's novel, How We Became Posthuman, Virtual Bodies in Cybernetics, Literature, and Informatics, explores how developments in cybernetics, computer science, and literature have reshaped our understanding of what it means to be human. Hales describes what she means by posthuman through these assumptions. The posthuman view considers consciousness, regarded as the seat of human identity. Most importantly, by these and other means, the posthuman view configures human beings so that it can be seamlessly articulated with intelligent machines. In the posthuman, there are no essential differences or absolute demarcations between bodily existence and computer simulation, cybernetic mechanisms and biological organism, robot theology and human goals. Fundamentally, both Pantheon and Soma believe in the assumption that Hales critiques in order to deliver interesting stories. Hales later states, "If my nightmare is a culture inhabited by posthumans who regard their bodies as fashion accessories rather than the ground of being, my dream is a version of the posthuman that embraces the possibilities of information technologies without being seduced by fantasies of unlimited power and disembodied immortality, that recognizes and celebrates finitude as a condition of human being, and that understands human life is embedded in a material world of great complexity, one on which we depend on for our continued survival." Maddie, the protagonist of Pantheon, develops a complex relationship between herself and the uploaded intelligence. The first successful uploaded intelligence was her father, David Kim, who was suffering from a terminal illness. After rediscovering him, she continued to advocate his personhood, despite her mother refusing to see him as her husband. Throughout the series, Maddie does everything in her power to secure the safety and coexistence of the UI with global society. However, this optimistic view of uploading begins to shift once the people close to her begin to die. She had witnessed the death of her father on multiple occasions and the death of a close friend turned lover, Caspian. When Maddie becomes an adult, counter to the popular sentiment, she refuses to upload or let her son be uploaded in fears of what it would take from her. The society has been seduced by immortality and unlimited power, and it surrounds and reminds her of how much she's lost from it. Pantheon serves as a cautionary exploration of post-human figures, worlds where promise of digital immortality blurs the boundaries between life and simulation, but not without cost. Hale's critique reminds us that the pursuit of transcendence through technology risks erasing the very aspects of humanity that give our lives depth, meaning, and vulnerability. Maddie's refusal to upload stands as a quiet rebellion against the illusion of disembodiment, a reaffirmation that to be human is to be finite, embodied, and intimately connected to the material world. To understand how these narratives critique the disembodiment of consciousness, it's useful to return to the very question that sparked Hale's inquiry. What are we truly transferring when we digitize the mind? Her opening anecdote sets the philosophical stage for examining the unsettling consequence of separating thought from flesh, a theme both Pantheon and Soma explore in dramatically different ways. Catherine Hales begins how we became post-human, not with theory, but with the visceral anecdote, one that immediately challenges the seductive appeal of disembodied consciousness and sets the tone for her critical examination of post-human fantasies. This book began with a roboticist dream that struck me as a nightmare. I was reading Hans Moravec's Mind Children, The Future of Robot and Human Intelligence, enjoying the ingenious variety of his robots, when I happened upon a passage where he argues it will soon be possible to download human consciousness into a computer. To illustrate, he invents a fantasy scenario in which a robot surgeon purees the human brain in a kind of cranial liposuction, reading the information in each molecular layer as it's stripped away and transferring the information into a computer. At the end of the operation, the cranial cavity is empty, and the patient, now inhabiting the metallic body of a computer, wakens to find his consciousness exactly the same as it was before. The brain scans in Pantheon are hauntingly similar to the grotesque depiction of what Moravec imagined brain scans could be. She continues, "How," I asked myself, was it possible for someone of Moravec's obvious intelligence to believe that the mind could be separated from the body? Even assuming such a separation was possible, how could anyone think that consciousness in an entirely different medium would remain unchanged, as if it had no connection with embodiment? This question lies at the heart of Soma's conflict. If Pantheon, the more optimistic and idyllic show, had such a destructive view of the uploading process, what did Soma, a horror game, have in store for us?
All right, let me just get this out of the way. You are Simon Jarrett, correct?
Right.
Toronto, Canada, Munchie. Born 1988, July 16.
Right.
Flat neurograph, version 6. Good. All files in order.
Will this hurt?
It's just a scan. It'll hurt about as much as getting your picture taken.
Indians thought cameras would steal their souls.
Is that so? Well, let's hope they're wrong. Ready? Say cheese.
It's as simple as an X-ray. You sit in a chair, a machine reads your brain, and you're done. But you're still in the chair. There is a digital version of yourself that exists simultaneously as your flesh and blood. This is the true horror of Soma. There is no continuity between the digital and flesh self, and it stares you in the face to remind you of it. While Hales may not agree to the technology that would allow a digital self to function, she would agree to Soma's conclusions, that the digital self is but a copy. Pantheon does not address this continuity problem directly. The show never allows two copies of the same person to exist simultaneously. The uploading process is inherently destructive, leaving no trace of the flesh self in the waking world. Soma envelops itself around this conflict and allows the characters and players to feel the weight of it completely. It is not explained to Simon how he ended up in the future until the player finds a terminal with information containing his brain scan. Our protagonist was a UI all along, despite believing fully that he was human. We see this in the other robots that the WoW injected UIs into. They are unaware of the state of their body.
Are you human?
Shit, did my body give it away? I try hard to stay a mystery. Yeah, I'm human. Are you?
Simon's second experience, scanned on the Pathos 2, ends up with two simultaneous flesh-machine cyborgs existing at once.
There must be something wrong. Can't you run a diagnosis or something?
What was that?
No, it's just,
Why was it still talking?
it's the same like before.
Catherine, why was he still talking?
That's how it works, you know that.
What do you mean?
You know it's not magic. You were copied. The sleeping Simon in the seat was copied, and now You are here, just like Simon lived on in Toronto.
God damn you, Kath. 2 Simons? There can't be 2 Simons.
What did you think would happen?
That you were gonna take my mind and put it into another body, like a brain transplant.
I'm sorry, it wouldn't work that way.
You realize how messed up this is?
Please, I didn't mean to upset.
How did you expect me to react to this shit?
Please stop.
You're fucking disgusting.
The player then has a choice: leave Simon and abandon him, or kill him while he's asleep. The people at Pathos 2 felt a similar hysteria when they realized that they themselves would not make it to the Ark. Mark Sarang, an employee at Pathos 2 Labs, created the continuity theory.
Did you know that the human body consists of up to 75 trillion individual cells? They typically don't stay with us till we die. Some live a few days, while others live a few years. We're not affected by their short lifespans, as they're replaced by new cells which help sustain our bodies. I don't think anyone would argue that we ever lose our persona due to this process. Yet we are clearly in a constant state of transformation. Then how do we remain the same? A continuous flow of thought and perception keeps an unbroken chain of continuity that we know as our self. Our conscious mind is not the pattern of our brain, but a continuous emergent entity based on that pattern. When Dr. Chun populates the Ark, she is capturing a moment of our existence and placing it inside the digital world. Soon you and your digital you will grow apart due to diverging experiences, but for a tiny window, you are the very same. With unbroken continuity, it will live on. A fulfilling life, no doubt, no less real than the one from which it was plucked. Now remember, you are not your body. You are the emergent entity. That entity just happens to occupy 2 places at once for a while.
This sentiment goes directly against Hales's, embodying the ideals she feared. Mark soon after commits suicide, and many other scientists follow in hopes of waking up on the Ark. Another influential scientist within Soma is Catherine Chun, the driving force of the restoration of the Ark. Catherine is not unaware of the nature of the brain scans, yet despite knowing she herself would not make it on the Ark, she still wishes to launch it. Once she realizes how Simon might react if he understood the true nature of the UIs, she keeps her plans purposely vague and keeps Simon in the dark.
Just push the button and we're off.
Here we go. No turning back.
Thank you, Simon.
Don't mention it.
It's an amazing thing you did. And I want you to know I appreciate it.
Time, 20 seconds.
What's the matter with the upload?
Just give it a second.
I thought you guys would have better bandwidth in the future.
Ten seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6,
You gotta be kidding me!
5, 4, 3,
Come on, load!
2,
Yes! Fuck yeah, we made it! Woo! I'm still here. I'm still here. Catherine? Catherine?
I'm here.
What the hell happened? What went wrong?
Nothing. They're out there, among the stars. We're here.
No. We were getting on the Ark. I saw it. It finished loading just before it launched.
Yeah, I saw.
Then why are we still here?
Simon, I can't keep telling you how it works. You won't listen. You know why we're here. You were copied onto the Ark. You just didn't carry over. You lost the coin toss. We both did. Just like Simon at Omicron, just like the man who died in Toronto 100 years ago.
No. This is bullshit. We came all this way. We launched the Ark.
I know it sucks, but our copies are up there. Catherine and Simon are both safe on the Ark. Be happy for them.
Are you crazy? We're gonna die down here with those fuckers living at large on a spaceship. They're not us. They're not us!
I'm sorry you feel that way, Simon. I'm proud of what we did. We made sure that something of the hundreds of thousands of years of human history survives, that something lives on.
No, fuck this! Fuck this! Fuck you! Fuck you, Catherine, you lied! And I believed in you, I trusted you! You said we're getting on the fucking Ark!
We are on the Ark, you idiot! I didn't lie! I can't be responsible for your goddamn ignorance! You
Fuck! Catherine? Please don't leave me alone. Catherine? Catherine?
The ending of Soma is a harsh reminder to Simon. He will not make it to the Ark, but a simulated fake Simon will. In the end, Soma fully embraces the existential horror that Hales warns against, the illusion that digital replication preserves identity, when in truth it severs the self from embodiment and continuity. While Pantheon skirts this dilemma by erasing the flesh in the moment of upload, Soma forces its characters and its players to confront the disquieting truth that the digital self is not a vessel of salvation, but a reflection of what is irrevocably lost. The final sequence of Soma allows the player to play as the Simon and Catherine that made it to the Ark, into the digital heaven. They inhabit bodies that are long dead in the real world and get to live a new life of peace, their hard work paid off. Baudrillard explains, to simulate is to feign to have what one hasn't. One implies a presence, the other an absence. But the matter is more complicated, since to simulate is not simply to feign. Someone who feigns an illness can simply go to bed and pretend he is ill. Someone who simulates an illness produces in himself some of the symptoms. Thus, feigning or dissimulating leaves the reality principle intact. The difference is always clear, it is only masked. Whereas simulation threatens the difference between true and false, between real and imaginary. Since the simulator produces true symptoms, is he or she not ill? The simulator cannot be treated objectively either as ill or as not ill. According to Baudrillard, the UIs cannot be treated as objectively false human, but also not as true humans either. Soma demonstrates both sides of the argument through Catherine and Simon. One believes the copies are inhuman despite being one, and the other believes that they are as human as the original. Pantheon answers this question in a nuanced way by providing the audience its own question. Is a clone a person? Caspian is the clone of Stephen Holstrom, Pantheon's version of Steve Jobs, a genius in the tech field. Caspian was created as a way to reinvent that same genius. His life is catered to echo that of Holstrom in every way, from his toxic relationship with his parents to the planned fatal accident that kills his girlfriend. Caspian was supposed to be a simulation of Holstrom. In no way does Caspian hold any continuity towards Stephen Holstrom, despite having identical genetic information. Yet, due to the small differences between their lives, Caspian becomes his own person, reaching heights that Holstrom could never in his lifetime. Caspian is Pantheon's answer to the question, are UIs human? And it shouts at the audience that yes, in almost every form, these are still human. Despite the lack of continuity, every copy is essentially human and has a soul. Every copy behaves and believes themselves to be human, as shown over and over again by the intimate relationships that they develop and their unbreaking will to live. Simon, and by extension Soma, trivializes the death of these UIs because of the denial that they are human at all. But Pantheon embraces this and treats each death with the weight that any person's death would hold. Soma and Pantheon arrive at opposing conclusions about the essence of personhood in a simulated world. Soma questions the legitimacy of digital self, haunted by the absence of continuity, while Pantheon affirms that identity can emerge from divergence, not sameness. Through the characters like Caspian and Simon, both works force us to confront the uncomfortable ambiguity of the post-human condition, where the boundaries between real and artificial, soul and code, are no longer easily defined, but no less meaningful. In exploring the philosophical, emotional, and ethical complexities of uploading consciousness, Pantheon and Soma provide two deeply contrasting visions of the post-human condition. Where Soma delves into the horror of a fractured identity and absence of continuity between flesh and simulation, Pantheon embraces the potential for digital selves to evolve into full autonomous beings. Both narratives ask what remains of the human when memory, emotions, and thoughts are stripped from the body and transferred into code, but they answer in different tones, one with dread, the other with hope. Through their stories and through the lenses of thinkers like Hales, the Glider, Baudrillard, and Haraway, are we challenged to reconsider the boundaries of humanity, the ethics of immortality, and the meaning of identity in an age where technology no longer merely extends the body, it redefines it. Ultimately, these works remind us that in the pursuit of digital transcendence, the question is not simply whether we can upload a soul, but whether doing so preserves, distorts, or entirely rewrites what it means to be human.
Catherine! I can't believe we actually made it.